Fast Stuff. Thanks for joining me. Today we'll be reviewing the Bose Soundlink Mini Bluetooth speaker. Now I have this here with me. It's been sitting quietly in its cradle all day, charging. As far as I'm concerned, one of the top devices out there. As you can see, it's not very big. It's about 15 centimeters long. Fits very nicely on the desk, hardly even noticeable. The first thing I noticed, first time I ever played anything out of the speaker, is how massive the sound is. I think it was the first time I played a movie soundtrack out of my laptop, and the computer was running through the TV. And at some point I said, you know, let's just try this thing out, and it was actually better than the sound on TV. So it's a device of this size, so neatly packed, so nice looking, can actually offer better sound quality than most television receivers out there now. Okay, so here we have a hands-on guide of the Soundlink Mini. So if you look at the top panel, which is the only real controller part of the speaker, we have 6 buttons up here. So there's the power button here and also a charge indicator LED on top of it. Now it is seated neatly in its cradle, which we're going to have a look at in a second. We have a mute button, very important. Volume up, volume down. Bluetooth toggle button. So now it's on and it can be switched off just as easily. That's the sound it makes when it connects. And we can switch it between Bluetooth and auxiliary. And now we're going to pull this out, because right here on the side we have an independent charger port. So this comes out of the cradle and goes in here, and it charges it directly if you don't want to carry the cradle around. And also an auxiliary cable 3.5mm jack port. Now this is the bottom. There's a very solid rubber base to it. Okay, feels very very solid. It's meant to protect it from the elements. Here we have the port in which the cradle attaches to. So it's very, very flat, and you can see it fits. Just plug this in here, and it fits with these pins that go into this groove right here. Here's a micro USB port. Now this is not meant for charging. It's meant for firmware update mostly. So no micro USB charging, none whatsoever. The only way to charge it is either to place it on the cradle or connect the charger directly. As far as sound quality is concerned, like I said, this is one of the first things that took my breath away, quite literally. I mean, and I'm not exaggerating, and you know, we're not endorsed by Bose by any chance, but if you guys are watching, I've never seen any speaker of this size, and you can see I have some sizable speakers behind me that produce such natural and such vivid low frequencies. This thing can drive the bass, let me tell you that, and we'll see it. I don't know if the camera will be able to pick it up, but it's really driving. And the secret behind it, that there are two parallel. They're calling it bass ventilators, and they're pointed in opposite directions, and that really just creates a drive, like a flow of air. If you put your hand against the speaker, you really feel it. Another thing that really sticks out is the sound definition. Everything just sounds really clear. One of the things I really noticed about the Soundlink Mini is how it transmits a stereo image. Usually in these speakers, everything is kind of blurred together, almost distorted. You don't really get the same spatial feeling that you get if you have headphones on. But here, wherever you place it, you genuinely get a stereo image. You have a very distinct left and right sensation of the audio or the music. Alright, let's play some music. Now this is connected to my laptop via Bluetooth. I'm going to play a track. We're going to start it at a relatively low volume and start cranking it up as we go and really squeeze all the juices out of it. Alright, let's go. Nowhere near as high as it can go yet. This is at full volume on my laptop and full volume on the speaker, and no distortions, no degradation of the audio whatsoever. It's like I'm listening through a set of headphones.
Look at me, tell me that I am where I'm supposed to be. Help me stand upright against the fear.
Really rich and clear.
But I wanna hear.
Alright, so the track that we just heard, which just so happens to be performed by my own musical act, Marble, link in the description. It has, well, what we listened to two very distinct musical passages. One is very bass-rich, very pumping, a lot of low frequencies which it handled just fine. And the second one was very spacious, just vocals and drums, so a lot of high frequencies, and it handled both of them seamlessly. Well, naturally, not everything can be rosy and perfect, so there are in fact a few downsides to this device. Well, one of them would have to be its weight. It's not the lightest around, and I would guess that the bass elements in there have a lot to play. The fact that it's completely covered in aluminum, it's very rigid, it feels very solid, but it also contributes to its weight. So if you want to walk around all day with it in your bag, you're going to start feeling the weight. It's, it weighs, I would guess at almost 1 kilo, so that almost 2 pounds. One other downside that I can point out has to be the range on this device. I noticed that you can't really go anywhere further than 10 or 12 feet with a paired device without it starting to stutter and then just losing connection altogether. You would usually expect more or a greater range. I know that in the second generation of these devices, the Soundlink Mini 2, I think they extended the range slightly, but for this one I would have liked to see a slightly larger range of movement. If you're playing something through your mobile device and you want to walk around the house, at some point you're going to lose connection, which is kind of a bummer. One other downside I can think of is that it feels like Bose compromised amplitude in favor of sound quality. It doesn't feel like it goes as high as you would want it. It kind of stops right before it gets a bit too loud, which is fine, which is good, because that way the sound doesn't get distorted. So overall, I am in love with this device. Cons and pros all factored in. I've tried a few other Bluetooth speakers, and this one has to be the best one I've ever tried. So overall, I'm giving this one 4.5 stars. I haven't tried the newest version just yet. It only very recently come out, and I'm really looking forward actually to see if they've corrected some of the things that made them lose half a point for this device, such as range and amplitude mostly. So thank you so much for joining me. Stay tuned for future reviews. Bye.